Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, I'm Jed Lee, and this is Reading with Your Kids, coming to you with love from the historic neighborhood of Reedville, tucked into the southwest corner of beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. Our mission here is all about connection, connecting kids with books, families with each other, and communities through the power of story. Every week we're joined by incredible authors and creators whose work lights up kids' lives. You can support our mission by spreading the word. Share the show with your friends, give us a shout out at school, and let folks know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Amazon Music, Audible, CastBox, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a wonderful, wonderful lineup for you today. First up, Ellen Forney. She's here to tell us all about the Adventures of You, how to write, draw, and star in your own comics. And later in the show, Morenike Oyenusi will be returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. It's called The Primary Colors. Hey, my friends, before we invite our guests into the show, I have a suggestion for you. This weekend, why not turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration? Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. My mouth just waters thinking about this. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork. It's juicy, smoky, and absolutely unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Now, I'm really excited because the folks at BigForkBrands.com, well, they want to give you a 20% discount off your order. And all you need to do is to use the promo code READ at checkout. I really love this idea. A storytime cookout fueled by Big Fork Brands. Because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavors. So be sure to check out Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. Go there today, BigForkBrands.com, with 20% off your order by using the promo code READ at checkout. BigForkBrands.com. Before we invite our guests into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Seattle in Washington. Our guest is here today to celebrate. Her brand new book is called The Adventures of You, How to Write, Draw, and Star in Your Own Comics. Please welcome to the show, Ellen Forney. Ellen, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm great. No, I'm
Excellent.
melting. I'm melting. It's too hot here. It's.
You have my complete sympathy. You have my complete sympathy.
So I imagine one thing that a kid might want to do on a summer like this when they feel like they're melting is to find a cool spot in the house and create their own comic book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of kids read a lot of comics and graphic novels already and draw and tell stories. And I know a lot of kids are kind of like dipping into doing their own comics. And so I'm so excited about getting Adventures out there, The Adventures of You, to just kind of like help move that process along and have some support.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the genre of graphic novels has just exploded. In the short time that I've been producing Reading with Your Kids, I think we might have been into year 2 before we had the first creator of a graphic novel on. And then, it was still, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, a publisher would come out and pitch a new graphic novel to celebrate. I've received 3 pitches today for graphic novels creators to come on the show. And so it really is blowing up, as the kids say.
Right. Well, I think one of the many things that are interesting about the explosion of comics and graphic novels and ways of combining words and pictures, that's in the schools, that parents know about, that teachers and administrators know about, is that it is literature. It's like a genre of literature, and that it's a valid way to read, and it's a valid way to create, and it's not reading light necessarily, but there are a lot of really fun and a lot of really in depth and a lot of really difficult topics. So many different things that you can do with comics. It's been really a kick for me to see how comics have become more and more well respected, and thus available. So many kids reading comics in school. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. And, it's interesting that it's only now, and I was guilty of it myself. I've shared on the show many times when my son was in middle school and high school, he loved comics and graphic novels and anime, and still does to this day. And I supported that, and certainly would take him out to get new comic books, new manga. But every once in a while, I would go into his room and say, "Dude, can you please just read one book without a picture in it? Could you do that for me, please?" And I was discounting that he was reading literature. But comics have always been a part of our culture here in America. I've shared here in the podcast also. Back in the 60s here in Boston, there was a newspaper strike, and all the newspapers weren't being published. And every night on the local television news channels, they would read a comic strip that had been printed, the latest Peanuts or the latest Prince Valiant, the latest Dick Tracy. That's how important comics were.
Well, I think it gets back to all the different, how important stories are. And, of course, that's something that you talk about. It's like the basis of your podcast, how important stories are, and all the different ways that you can tell stories. Like you can even tell like a comic, like you were just saying, a cartoon or a comic strip, that you can read it out loud. It's another way of taking in that story. It's another genre. I mean, I think like the kind of concern that you were talking about, can't you just read, here are all of these different, all these graphic novels, can't you read something else? And I think some of that do you feel like you need to limit yourself to this? And I think that it's a valid question. Do you need to limit yourself to just mysteries and action? You pick up something else. I mean, and that's a little misleading maybe, because one of the things about comics is that, okay, so it's not a genre like action, mystery, fantasy, comics. It's not that way. It's that you can have comics as this broad, you can have mystery comics, action comics, journalism comics, history comics, all sorts of different genres within. But I'll add this to, like, here, if you come across your kid, with a pile of comics, is that it's really great for learning reading and learning new vocabulary, even because there are more cues to what those words mean. But especially I like to emphasize that that comics are really great for kids with dyslexia, or for anyone with dyslexia. For that same reason, there there are more cues to what the meaning is.
Right.
Yeah. There are some, well, adults and teens that have told me that a graphic novel was the first book that they had gotten all the way through in years.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
So is it really true that somebody like me who has zero visual art ability can create their own comic?
It is true. It's one of the things that I really like to emphasize is that you don't have to be you don't have to be a great artist. It's a matter of, it's a matter of drawing in a way that reads. And what I mean by that is if you draw, let's say you want your character to be angry. And if you draw your character and it looks confused, then you're not telling the story that you want to be telling. And so there are some things that you can learn, like for example, in my book, like how to how to play with, really. I mean, that's what mess with, like play with.
Yeah.
It's not a how-to, there isn't one way how to, but like how to figure out your own way to play with where the eyebrows are, or, just like figure these different things out so that you can tell your stories. But that could be stick figures. It could be lumps. It could be like a circle with eyes and feet. And you can tell all sorts of stories that way. There are comics that are stick figures that tell stories about the intricacies of science, about really personal stories of different health issues, really funny stories, as well as ones that are intricate and beautiful. But it's about telling stories. So that's the main thing. It's about crafting a story. And so it doesn't need to be beautiful in order to craft a good story.
Yeah. So it sounds like one of the questions I often ask illustrators who have also illustrated and written their books, what comes first, the story or the images? And it sounds like for you, it's the story.
Yeah. It's actually a tough question to answer. And as you might imagine, it's a difficult question to answer probably for most of the creators, that you have interviewed. Because I guess I think visually too. So, for example, let's say, I'll just make this up. Let's say I'm in the zoo and, I'm having my niece that I'm with is having a funny interaction with the jellyfish. And so I'm watching this and maybe she's talking with them and it just is an interaction that I want to do a short comic about. So at the same time that I'm taking in, okay, I want to remember all these visual details, what is she wearing? How many jellyfish are in there? What does it look like? So I'm kind of creating it, putting it together at the same time. That said, once I'm creating and actually sitting down to do it, I will be probably doing writing first, but then it's also interspersed with little drawings. So it's kind of a non-answer answer for you.
Well, get lots of those.
I guess the thing that I will add though is that everybody's process is different. Mm-hmm. So I've watched other people and kids in particular just sit down and do a comic beginning to end, and some people who are like kind of a more official way to do it, I guess, would be to start with a topic, kind of like what you're talking about. Start with a topic, maybe do some research, write out a script, divide it up, do the art, and put it together and polish it. And I do that too.
Yeah. It's a wonder. One of the things I love about doing this podcast is that I get to see all the different ways that people create, and it does vary from creator to creator. And but I'm imagining there might be a kid out there who comes across the Adventures of You and sits down and says, well, if the comic's about me, it's going to be boring because nothing ever happens to me. I don't have any good stories to tell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, so I approached it in a couple of different ways. Because really, who wants to, I wouldn't either necessarily want to sit down. Well, I was just going to say I wouldn't necessarily want to sit down and do a book of comics all about me. But here I've done several graphic memoirs, so I guess I take that back. But in kind of like going through, basically the way that Adventures is set up is that it actually starts with doing drawing, and kind of like what I said, like how can you do a drawing that expresses that part of your story? Like, how can you do that? And sometimes that's what I was talking about with faces, and sometimes it's with symbols. Like there are lots of symbols that people who are used to doing comics are familiar with, or reading comics, like the word balloon. That's a drawing. It's a symbol, symbols for motion. And then getting into how to combine words and pictures and writing and creating characters. So there are all of these different aspects of putting together comics and creating them. And so a lot of the exercises, so after introducing some sort of concept, it's just like playing with them. Here's a balloon. Make this dog into a character that's saying something. It doesn't all have to be very directed to the cartoonist who's doing it. But I also, just because of exactly what you said, like sitting down and being like, I don't have anything interesting, and just say, hey, like what do I want to write about? Here's a blank page I'm supposed to write. In the very beginning, in the introduction, I emphasize that we are actually all full of stories, and I have a page of, I call them story seeds, and it's seeds for kids to just fill out. Like here's something about a pet. Here's a favorite Halloween costume. How about running a race or an evil thing? Something about you that's different from last year. Like lots of little things that actually are the seeds of stories. So for the whole book, they can refer back to those. And if nothing else, it's a little way to get started. Like, oh, actually, there is a lot that's interesting in my life. That's interesting to tell a story about.
I visited your website, and it's obviously you have a lot going on. You're creating graphic novels and books and artwork, and you're speaking and you're coaching. I'm wondering, you already have a full plate. Where did the inspiration to create a book that helps kids create books come from?
Oh, I've been teaching for years. So I've taught all ages, I guess. I've taught from, fifth graders to, teens, college students, adults. Most of the time in my teaching, if you added up the hours, it would have been college, at Cornish College of the Arts here in Seattle. And I had developed, how many years did I do that? 15 years? And so I had developed all of these handouts, all of the ways that I taught stuff, and different ways that the students would work together to collaborate to do different things. And so I had all of this material together, and I decided that I wanted to put it together into a book. I love teaching, and a lot of the work that I do even in a memoir has been about how to do things. Like I love to do how-tos, and some of those have been so many of them. The first one that I think of, this is kind of a weird one, I'm sorry, listeners, is how to, preface this, it was a July 4th, as a matter of fact, for a July 4th issue of the alternative News Weekly paper here. And I was doing a series of one-page comics called How Do You Do That? And what I would do is I would come up with a question, and I would interview some sort of expert. And then I would map out, turn whatever that process is into a comic. So a comic being a sequence of pictures that tell a story. I actually just started teaching the teen class yesterday, and we talked about what a comic is. And one of the most important things is that it's a story. And another part that's so important is that it's sequential. And so we were like, well, what about this? What about this? And I said, well, what about a how-to? Because it's a sequence. Could you say that it's a story? And kind of like getting onto the sort of outer edges of, well, what does that mean? To be a comic? What is that? What is a comic? And what does that mean to have a beginning, middle, and end? Anyway, so getting back to this series that I did, the How Do You Do That? So it was for July 4th, and the question was, how do you sew an amputated finger back on? And so I interviewed a hand surgeon here in Seattle, the Harborview Medical Center. It was fascinating, really fascinating. And so I did basically an explanation of what that meant, what the process was, what the decision making was, what the end result was, the kind of scars, the kind of microvascular surgery. I learned so much. It's one of the things that's so great about doing any sort of, I don't know, I guess any sort of creative work. You learn so much. And certainly anything that involves research like that. Anyway, so that was the first how-to that I did in that one particular series. But they're not all heavy and bloody. And certainly the Adventures of You, the how-tos, it's a lot more lighthearted. And as I've told people, really the material, like I said, that I taught comics at college, the college level, is that this is really all the concepts and like all of the whole thing. Let's just say all of the comics and everything that's being taught. It's the same material. It's just a lot more exclamation points and burping and farting.
Well, I'm a big fan of both of those things. Exclamation points.
Who isn't?
I tell you, I recently, I was thinking when you're talking about a comic being pictures, sequential, I just purchased a ladder, a pool ladder, and it had instructions that were illustrations. They were sequential. The instructions didn't tell a story, but a story certainly came from it, because at the end, as every time I do one of these things, there are a lot of pieces that were left over. And a story about that, and called customer service, and I said, dude, what are these? And he's like, oh, it sounds like you got extra pieces. I don't, we're still figuring out if it's safe enough to try in the pool.
Right.
What's the reaction been to The Adventures of You?
Well, it comes out in next month, August 12th. So far it's been, like early reader, people that I've shown it to, everybody's so excited about it. Even just telling people like, oh, my kid, my nephew, my class is going to love this. I think there's a real, I don't know, hunger. I mean, there's a real need for fun how to make comics, teaching and assistance, and something that kids can take with them, like on vacation or in the car, or just sit in their own beanbag chair, and have something to work on. One of the things about this book that is, of the things that's different about this book, is that it's a workbook. Mm-hmm. So the exercise, so I present some sort of concept like drawing faces, focus on the eyes, eyebrows, and mouth. And so, I kind of explain what I mean by that. And then it goes into some different exercises that the kids can do. And they're collaborative, like I start one, they finish it, whatever. And then other concepts through that. And then at the end, there are much more open pages for them to do their own comics.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you taken a moment to sit back and think, wow, I'm, I might be inspiring the next Charles Schultz with this book.
Well, so I've been teaching for long enough that I've had some of that come back to me. It's, there was someone that you interviewed and I can't remember, May, I think, was talking about how amazing it's, God, I know you called her May. So, anyway, but she was talking about how great a feeling it is when she gets stories that kids have written, that were inspired by what she had talked about at a school visit or something from her own. So I used to do work for Nickelodeon magazine, and and that was some of my early how-tos, how to make comics, like on paper, published for kids. Like not me in front of a class, but like here it is on paper and sending it out there. And one of the aspects of that was they would run contests sometimes. And I got to be a judge in, reading all of these comics that were based on what I had done. It was so amazing. And there was one kid who got in touch with me, and it was a combination of that and a graphic memoir that was actually a collection of a strip that I did for a while called I Was 7 in 75. There I'm aging myself. And he was a fan of that. And so he was involved in like being inspired by my work. And he went on to do a lot of really great comics. Yeah. And some of them, I guess, professionally, semi-professionally. I've had other students that have gone on to do a lot of comics. I get and I get a lot of feedback from people who are inspired by the content, by the material. So there's some of it about kind of like what I was talking about before. Like some of it is about the medium, some of it is about combining words and pictures and creating that or reading that, which are not the same, and some of it is just about the content. Because it's a story. Because it's just another way to deliver a story.
Very cool.
You can deliver a story in a film. You can deliver a story, in pictures worth 1,000 words. It can be in an illustrated book, and it can be a text-only book.
And no worries about being 7 in 75. I graduated high school in 75, so that's.
Well, okay, there you go. The wisdom of age and the whatever. No, it's all good with me. Absolutely. I wouldn't have said it if it wasn't okay with me.
We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about the Adventures of You, how to write, draw, and star in your own comics.
Well, it's available for pre-order now, wherever you get your books. So any sort of online, like there's Amazon and there's indie books, and you could go to the publisher, to Hachette. But if you just look up The Adventures of You, how to write, draw, and star, or The Adventures of You, Forney, you'll get there and you'll find out how to pre-order.
Wonderful. Well, we encourage everybody to do that. And I also want to thank our guest has been Ellen Forney. She has the author and creator of The Adventures of You, how to write, draw, and star in your own comics. Ellen, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you are a regular listener to Reading with Your Kids, then you know that one of my favorite parts of the day is story time. There's just something incredibly magical about snuggling up with your kids, opening a great book, and escaping into an adventure together. And let me tell you, That moment becomes even more magical when you're curled up in the softest, coziest bedding you've ever felt. That's why I'm thrilled that our sponsor, CozyEarth.com, is joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer together through reading. Their bamboo sheets, comforters, and pajamas are unbelievably soft, naturally breathable, and temperature regulating, which means no more sweaty nights or chilly toes. Right now, Cozy Earth is offering Reading with Your Kids listeners an exclusive 41% off their entire site. That's right, 41%. So go ahead, create your own cozy reading nook. Wrap yourself and your kids up in something comfy, grab your favorite bedtime book, and turn story time into the best part of your day. Head on over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ at checkout to save 41%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code READ. My friends, if you have ever thought about owning a business that's fun, rewarding, and makes a valuable contribution to kids' education, well, Brooklyn Robot Foundry is calling your name. I recently met Jenny Young. She's the founder of Brooklyn Robot Foundry. And let me tell you, she is incredible. Her passion for getting kids excited about STEAM, that's STEM plus art, it's contagious. I'm telling you. This isn't your average kids program. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is all about hands-on, screen-free STEAM fun. These kids get to build a different robot each class and take it home with them afterwards. Kids love it. Parents are raving about it. And now you can own a franchise and bring this incredible experience to families in your community. Now, this isn't your typical franchise. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is a mobile, flexible business with a deep curriculum that's making a real impact in schools and communities around the country. Franchise owners get a proven curriculum, full training, and support from a passionate team. So what are you waiting for? Please visit bit.ly/RobotJed. That's bit.ly/RobotJed. And let them know you heard about it on Reading with Your Kids. Join us right now from the great state of Maryland. Our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. It's called The Primary Colors. Please welcome back to the show, Morenike Oyenusi. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm so excited to be back on the show. I've really been looking forward to it. So thank you for your invitation.
You're very, very welcome. Delighted to have you on. We've had so much fun over the years speaking to you. I learned so much about tinnitus. I think it was your last visit on the show, and learned that I thought I had gotten over it and cured it, but no, you reminded me, no, you just learned how to put up with it.
Some people report that they've been cured, but you know, it's few and far between. I'm still praying for healing, though.
Yes, but I learned how to put up with it, so it's okay. I don't notice it most of the time.
Right.
Let's talk about the primary color. I think I have all the primary colors here on my shirt.
I know, and I've got mine too.
All right.
Primary colors. So I was really happy to see that you have your T-shirt on too.
Yeah. So who are we going to meet in this show? I understand there's a monster in this book.
So there's talk of a monster coming to town. Mm-hmm. And when the community members hear this, they're kind of a little bit worried. And then when the strange family moves in, they immediately conclude that the strange family is the monster. So whether they're the monster or not, it remains to be seen. But yes, certainly all kinds of rumors are going around.
You know, this reminds me of something that I know happened in the past here in real life. I'm hoping it doesn't happen that often, you know, where a family from a different culture or race moves into a neighborhood and suddenly everybody is frightened.
Yes. I think it happens more often than we think, unfortunately.
Probably. We were that family when we moved into Reedville. I don't think we scared anybody, but we certainly turned some heads. And there was a very nice, but a very old gentleman who lived a couple of doors down from us. and we moved in, and I think we were here maybe 3-4 days, and this gentleman came down the street, and he said, "Hey, your wife's name, Guerrillos. What kind of a name is that?" And I guess, well, her family's from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, and you're a clown. How do you make a living as a clown?
That's hilarious. And clowns can be very scary creatures, I must say. Yet funny.
Yes,
and enjoyable.
And he turned out to be a good friend for many years before he passed. But it's that I think that this book gives families a chance to talk about that and talk about how important it is to be open, meeting new people.
Yes, it's a very important topic, especially now. And, it's important that as we read with our children, we introduce them to these ideas and concepts. And in reading with them, teach them about, kind ways to behave, how to welcome people. And there are all kinds of things that reading with our children can teach our children. So I think, that's definitely a good practice to have.
Yeah. Yeah. You bring up something that I think is we as parents and caregivers and trusted adults need to keep in mind that everything that we do, our kids are watching. And so we're modeling all the time, even when we're not on our best behavior. And so I think I love that the primary colors can be a reminder to parents to be on their best behavior and be the role models that our kids need us to be. Yes.
And initially in the primary colors is actually the adults who discourage the children from mixing with this new family because, they had this fear that this new family they were the monsters, and they kind of convey their fear to their child.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Was there one thing in particular that inspired you to write this book?
It's funny that you should ask that. Literally, this was a vision that I received when I would say it was maybe a dream or a waking vision. I got up from bed and I visualized this book. Like God gave me this vision, and I wrote it because of that reason. I thought it was really strange, to be honest. How do you, what a strange idea to write about primary colors in the community, and about how there's a monster coming to town and there's this strange family. I never could have thought of that idea on my own. So it was just that inspiration that made me think, well, I'll write the book, I'll be obedient. But it's turned out to be even more, the idea of it has turned out to be a lot more impactful than I could have imagined.
It's important to listen when we are inspired, isn't it?
It is. It's very important. And, it's very important. And just not dismiss any idea as being strange.
Yeah. The families and the title of the primary colors are, tell us a little bit about the families that we're going to meet in the book.
So the main family is, so everybody is a primary color. They're red, blue, or yellow. And this family, cobalt blue is blue. His parents are blue as well. And, they're any regular family that you find. And then you have other children in the book. Cobalt blue has 3 best friends. One of them is, 2 best friends really. One of them is yellow and one of them is red. And, the red girl is called Scarlet, and Hansa is the yellow girl. And so those are the 3 main characters. And then the 4th family, the new family that moves in, being the 4th main, character, as it were. And then you have a teacher who's she's blue as well, or she's actually she's yellow. She's actually bright yellow, the teacher. And then you have different colors in the classroom, so, and then I'm not going to disclose what the new family moves looks like, but they're strange in that context. So those are the main characters. And then Cobalt Blue, so the book is about Cobalt Blue and his interactions with his friend, Scarlet Red and Hansa Yellow. And then when they meet this new family and this new girl, she now becomes part of their friend group.
Ah, excellent. The idea of using colors to represent the families, that's a very imaginative idea. Was that also part of your vision?
That was the exact vision. It's a combination of primary colors, they're blue, red, and yellow. That was the exact vision I received.
Uh-huh.
And so it was just interesting to me. How do you, it's one thing writing the book, but how do you illustrate a book where the characters are red, yellow, and blue? I mean, it turned out to be a lot more difficult than I imagined that it was going to be. So the first thing was, are these abstract colors? How do you represent them? Are they, when you say they're red, blue, and yellow, are they abstract colors? Are they real people? What exactly are they? So that was the first challenge, working out how do we represent these colors? And I wanted them to be real people. I wanted them to, or act like real people, to have emotions and feelings, so I personified them, and then the second battle was to get the illustrator to find an illustrator who understood my vision. And I did find one in Kit Lawrence, who's Kit Lawrence Nakwa. He's absolutely the best. And, but, trying to work together, trying to figure out how to portray these characters, and it's incredibly challenging to work with primary colors as your main source of color, and work with the lighting and work with all those things. So it was really a fascinating process coming up with these actual characters.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that you must have been absolutely thrilled with the finished product.
Yes, I am absolutely thrilled. I have nobody can see this as I'm showing you this, but this is
right.
the finished product. But I'm totally delighted. One of the ideas that God gave me, as well as we're working on the characters, was use real people as models for these characters. And I thought, oh, wow, that's a great idea. So all the children, all the adults, everybody in the book was actually imagined using a real person. So I had boys and girls submit their pictures and adults submit their pictures, and we created these characters with real people as inspiration. And that's just something that I haven't seen. That, I mean, there might be books like that, but I just haven't seen that. And it just added another layer of fascination and interest to creating the book.
Wonderful. Now, is Primary Colors, is this your third or fourth book?
This is my fourth book. Fourth book that I've written. I've also published a fifth. I have my own independent publishing company. And there's a fifth book that was published by another author, and that's for grown-ups.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
We should just give that book a shout out. Give it some attention.
Yes, it's called Solace, and it's by Dr. Patricia Aladekoba. And she's a pastor, and her book is about pastors' wives and the fact that they undergo burnout, because the church has such large expectations of them, such large expectations of the pastor, and the pastor's wife has to juggle so many responsibilities. And people think that because they're Christians, they're, larger than life, they have all the solutions, but literally they're going through burnout. And so she writes her book to help pastors' wives or pastor. Of course, it can also be a pastor's husband.
Sure.
It's because the pastor, and she herself is a pastor, as I mentioned.
Yeah. I completely understand that. My beautiful wife's mom, her dad was a deacon in the Catholic Church, and her mom had so many responsibilities and so many people looking up to her, and just was being pulled and pushed for so many years in so many different directions. So that sounds like a great book. That sounds like a book that would be a wonderful gift for a parishioner to buy.
Yes.
For their pastors, the pastor's wife in their church.
Yes, and in fact, it's actually a good book for parishioners to read themselves, so they can moderate their expectations and be there to support, the people in leadership in the church.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great point. It's like not only should we give pastors and their wives and their families that support, but we should also adjust our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do more things together as a community and by ourselves than relying on one or two people to do everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
You've had quite a journey. I think we've celebrated all your children's books here on Reading with Your Kids. What's the thing that was most surprising to you as you grew as not only an author but also a publisher?
So I think the most surprising thing, first of all, is that I was even able to write more than one book. I think when I was working on Chasing Butterflies in the Sunlight, I really thought it was just going to be that one book. I had this burning passion to get out the story, but once I did that, that was going to be it. And little did I know that I would have this desire to continue writing. And another surprising thing is just how much it feels like having a baby, like working on a book, without the side effects like the nausea and all those things, morning sickness that I actually experienced when I was expecting my children. But it's such a big process, but it's also such an enjoyable process. And when the finished product comes out, it's just astonishing. Yeah. The pride that you feel, the delight, the joy, it's really amazing. So that's the second big surprise that I wasn't really expecting. Wasn't expecting to derive so much pleasure, even in the publication process, even in just sourcing the right people for the book, sourcing the book designer, the illustrator. All that is just so much fun. And I just never imagined that.
Yeah. Yeah. And folks who are listening aren't able to see, Morenike has such a big smile, and she is so glowing as she is telling us about the joy of being an author and a publisher.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah. What's next for you? Do you have another book in the works?
I have a sequel to The Primary Colors in mind. It's going to be called The Neon Colors. So I have it in my mind. I haven't actually done any writing, but I have a good idea of what I want to write. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I do have a couple of other children's books that I've made notes for. One of them is called it's about a tyrant, and it's going to be a chapter book for children. That might take a couple more years to work on. And I have a couple of other picture books that I have in mind. And I'm also working on a book for adult Christian women as well.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. That's very exciting for you. I'm so happy for you that you've had this success, and we're happy that we've been with you for most of the way. And I can't wait for you to come back and celebrate the next book.
Thank you. And one other thing that I'm actually working on is I have a couple of potential publishing clients that I've been speaking to. So, I'd like to, if anybody wants to publish their book, I encourage them to consider us as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to remind everybody where they can go to find out more about your books, and also possibly find out more about how they can have their book published with you. But I'm curious, how do you said you had a vision. I'm imagining that this vision came. I want to know, did the vision just come to you, or are you actively asking for inspiration?
I'm not actively. That's a good question. Because today, for example, I spend about an hour praying every day nowadays. And one of the things that I wrote, and I have a board as well where I write down my prayers. And one of the things I said was, please give me good ideas. But I generally don't pray for ideas. They just come to me. I'm generally not actively praying. But when they come to me, and I know that they're coming from God. I don't even know how to explain, but I just know specifically that God is giving me that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this podcast was divinely inspired, as was my career performing. So I am a big fan of divine inspiration.
Yes, I remember you. I think you told me some of your story, and I think that definitely, I can totally relate to that. I think that sounds like divine inspiration behind everything that you've done.
Yeah, it's been, and I needed it because I don't have any ideas. I needed, so.
Yeah, same here. It's just amazing how we don't have our own ideas, but we get ideas all the same, and they're fantastic and they're glorious. I mean, see how much you've done with everything that you've done. It can only be God inspiring you. I have to say that.
Thank you. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about the primary colors and find out more about your publishing house.
So people can go to my publishing website, www.paradiserestoredpublishing.com.
ParadiseRestoredPublishing.com.
Correct.
Excellent. We've had a great time speaking to the author of The Primary Colors. It's a powerful new picture book from our guest, Morenike Oyenusi. My friend, thanks so much for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much, Jed. Lovely to see you again.
My friends, we are so very happy and so very thankful that you decided to spend part of your day with us here at Reading with Your Kids. If this episode made you smile, this episode gave you something to think about, please pass it on. Share the link, leave a 5-star review, and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a moment of Reading with Your Kids. And if you haven't done so already, please check out readingwithyourkids.com. It's the hub for all things Reading with Your Kids, including finding out how you can be a guest on the show, visiting our Certified Great Read Wall of Fame, and exploring some great new books. This is the part of the show I love a lot because I get to thank people who made this show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Ellen Forney. Please be sure to check out The Adventures of You, how to write, draw, and star in your own comics. Also want to thank Morenike Oyenusi. Please be sure to check out The Primary Colors. I want to thank our fantastic sponsors, BigForkBrands.com. When you go to BigForkBrands.com and use the promo code READ, you can save 20% off your order. And when you go to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ, you can save up to 41% off their super comfy bedding, comforters, pajamas. It's just awesome. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Elle Glassman, Dante Greco. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. You are helping to create a kinder, smarter world every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.
Hey, here we go, Lord, let's sing it loud. Get ready for the fun and never feel down. Step into the light, let your colors show. Each and every one of you, let your spirit glow. Jump up high, reach for the sky. With every little heartbeat, you were born to fly. You are amazing, you shine so bright. There's no one else like you, you're a delight. You are amazing, take on the world, it's your time to ignite.
When the clouds are gray and you feel all alone, just look inside yourself, there's a heart of gold. With every single smile you can light the way. You have the power,
Let your joy stay. So lift your head high, stand tall and proud. You're unique in this world. Shout it out loud. With friends by your side, we can reach our dreams. Together we're a team, bursting at the
amazing. Just believe with every step. Take that leap. Together we can change the game. With love in our hearts, we'll make our name.